Bitcoin has officially broken into new all-time highs over the weekend, and recently it is not alone. Gold, silver, and nearly every major index is rallying alongside it into fresh highs as well. This is the kind of broad-based breakout that does not happen often, and it's got everyone asking the same question here. Is Bitcoin about to top out here, or is it just the start of a major pop towards $150,000? I'd like to know what you think down below. Please drop a quick one-word comment down below to let me know what you think. Type the word top if you believe we're about to top out on Bitcoin, or the word pop if you think Bitcoin has legs to run up towards $150,000. We're going to be breaking down the charts and the macro factors that are driving these moves. Be sure to grab yourself a cup of coffee today, folks, whether it's hot or ice, because this one's going to be jam-packed. My name is Paul Sampson, and welcome back to DataDash. Before we jump deeper into the charts, folks, a quick reminder that all of my market analysis, trade setups, and educational content are posted inside the DataDash Pro Discord. This is where you can get all of my exclusive access to everything I'm looking at in the market, whether it's short-term or long-term, based on crypto and even stock market as well, for member-only video updates, as well as a complete trading course included with your membership. Now, the best part is that when you join DataDash Pro, you also get access to Nick's Dash Report, where he covers the latest macro trends, on-chain data, and market opportunities all in one place. And here's Nick to explain what you can anticipate in the Dash Report.
Hey there, guys. It's Nick here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day wherever you are. To give you a quick pitch on what the Dash Report is all about, my number one goal in writing the newsletter is to constantly focus on finding the next wave of exponential investment opportunities beyond crypto and Web3. In a similar fashion to how crypto and Web3 allowed a lot of people, including myself, to be able to generate transformative wealth, I want to help those who have already built it or those who are just getting started be able to find the next wave of exciting opportunities, what I call emerging market leaders, new segments or categories of companies that are leading the way forward in innovation, rapid revenue growth, and being able to multiply their valuation many times over. To give a palpable example of what you might find in the Dash Report, one of my biggest current positions that I've held over more than a year now is a company called Atai Life Sciences. It's part of a broader narrative that I talk a lot about called psychedelic assisted therapy. And without going into the whole spiel about it, it's a really interesting and potentially transformative sector that can have major ramifications in mental health treatment, and really ticked off a lot of the boxes for what I look for. A clear change in price action, going from a downtrend into an accumulation range, signaling institutional interest. Along that as well, major moving average breakouts. And beyond that, a market cap and valuation that has the ability to make those generational returns of 5 or 10x, if not more, which is what we're really looking for to make those outsized returns. And since we built our initial position back here in the summer of 2024, around $1.50, Atai has rallied all the way up to $5.23 at the time of recording. So my key point here is that we're focused on companies that will be able to far outpace not only traditional equities, but beyond that as well, we're looking for things that are going to be outpacing the top end benchmarks like Bitcoin, which were up over 75% against during that time window. We're looking for those assets that are going to be able to continue giving us multiple returns, whereas Bitcoin and many other types of investment paths are starting to slow down in that return profile. So if you're interested in being able to maximize those returns, if you want to be able to follow along with me where I've been able to do 152% in the last year and year to date, back around 103%, then in that case, you can definitely check out the bundle subscription. And I think between what Paul offers in terms of the traders group that give you a more active and dedicated approach to analyzing the crypto market, alongside the Dash Report, where we still do a 360-degree coverage, and that includes crypto, we put a lot more emphasis on the equity side. You're going to be in really good hands and avoid a lot of the painful mistakes that can come with trading when you don't have proper risk management or don't know where to look when starting this journey, which can be quite overwhelming and complex. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you guys on board, and I'll kick it back over to Paul.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. So yeah, there you have it, folks. You get both my technical insights and Nick's macro research all under one membership. And folks, if you didn't know this, we're only offering this to 500 members right now. So currently we're at 240 members. So when that number reaches 500, we're going to shut that off in efforts to ensure that the members that do join get the best experience possible. So be sure to join today over at datadashpro.com. All right, folks, let's look at some things here. So Bitcoin, again, made a new all-time high over the weekend, pushing up to $126,000, right? So this is a really important area that we're coming up into. We obviously can see that we've essentially ranged around in this region here. If you've been keeping up on the videos here, also in the group, as we posted it, or as I posted this several weeks ago, when we were trading right into this region, you'll recall that we had this bullish shark, right? So as we traded into these areas here, we put in a new all-time high back in August, came down into this area. We had a region known as the harmonic optimized price, meaning that this is the area it could get to, extend to, I guess, to the low side and still remain that bullish setup. There was a few pieces in here that, made me really focus on that 107 area. Got the bounce out of there. Our first target was met here on the 18th of September. Got a little bit of a pullback, and then since then have rolled through. Target 2 was met on Friday, and then we front ran the last one here to 126, essentially a new all-time high, which obviously we put in anyways. And I do fully anticipate that that is going to get met. Now, folks, this is the setup that we've been looking at, going off of for basically 2 months almost here. And then a new one has started to emerge when we got the rejection at 118,000 just a bit ago. And all this is a little bit more local, and I'm going to cover the bigger piece here in a second. But if we push higher than 126 here, this is what I'm targeting for Bitcoin next. Now, again, as soon as we came up and put in this rejection at basically a gold pocket over here, where we had the high here, the low, and we retraced to the gold pocket, the 0.618. As soon as we get a rejection like that, I'm always hunting the next harmonic, which is, again, a sequence of Fibonacci's here. I was looking for this pullback into this area here. I think 108, 200 was my physical entry for myself to get in on another position here, just short term, to ride this back up. And it front ran that level by about $300 here, right? So, but overall, the idea remained the same. And that's the big key point, because in theory, even if I missed this like shorter term outlook here, I knew that I'm not going to be looking to short, because at that point, my overall bias still was that we would see a move to the upside here. All-time high was definitely, coming more than anything. We are there now, and now to see if we put in this next setup here, which takes us up into the $130,000 region, right? So this is just one example of how and why we could get into this area here. Now, this is a bearish setup, folks, so at this point, we'd look for a pullback. For now, we still, target up to the upside here, okay? Before we move on to any kind of higher time frame here, I did want to point out that just as we're coming in here, it is Monday. This is currently last week's high and our all-time high at the moment. It's not an area where I'd overly look to short by any means, because I do think that everybody is still aggressively trying to, basically revenge trade. Everybody that missed this move is just shorting, and just getting destroyed the whole way up. We do have a setup where we can come up and take this recent high from the weekend and then get a pullback to our weekly pivot, right? So this is our average price from last week. It's not too far from where we have been pretty much trading at. It's just down to 120. So that's a big support area that I'd be looking for this week, and then see if we get that, bounce out of there. And that's assuming that we just come up, take this high, and then come back and close below. So a very short-term outlook there. And then one level to be aware of for the remainder of October is back at 113, right? So just something that we'll touch on if we need to, but it is there. These are really the only two areas down below us that I have eyes on at the moment, 113 and 120. Aside from that, everything still points a little bit higher here. And as we zoom out, I wanted to take a peek at this overall setup that basically I've been looking at ever since we put in the carry trade low down in 2024, our inauguration day high, our tariff low here, and I've been targeting what's known as AB equals CD. And the reason I've been targeting this time frame here is that just in the sense of symmetry, which these setups are generally pretty symmetrical. They don't have to be, but they are at most times. And on top of that, you can utilize fib times to kind of give us an area where the next major pivots are going to be. So it's just a region to be aware of, right? So, and for me, how I utilize this is that if I'm looking at this region, again, now that we're here, obviously we have to take the information as it's coming, but this is something that we've been looking at well in advance. And the way I utilize this is that if price gets into this region around this time frame, I have to be really, really aware that this is a valid setup at play. This is a bearish setup again. Yeah, so the target area of this has been about 130 up to about 143. Okay, so it's a little window there. It lines up with that that harmonic I just showed you as well, where we took it up to about 135,000. The time frame is here. Don't get too wrapped up in the exact, I know this is week of September 29th, which was essentially last week. Obviously, we had a pretty big move as we, came into that week. But the time frame around here is really what I'm paying attention for. So it's just something to kind of be aware of. This is a big setup. This could very well set us for a move back towards about $98,000. And so that's what I'm looking for here, right? So signs of weakness around these regions. But as at the moment, we still are looking up. This is a high time frame outlook here. So even if we did push into that region and get a rollover at some point, I think we have weeks before that occurs. So to be very clear here, the idea, the bias here is still likely up. Weeks go by. Altcoins, have a sizable rally, but we want to be paying attention in this time frame because I've noted for the last few months that if we're going to see the next sizable retracement out of Bitcoin, meaning 30% or more, that it was most likely going to come around this 130 to 140,000. So by no means do I know that's going to happen. I'm preparing for what the market is potentially setting up to do. I'm positioning myself as well as I can to give myself some sort of an edge in this market, right? So at the moment, still tracking higher and expecting the altcoins to see a boost to the upside as well in the midterm here. So over the next few weeks. Just wanted to cover Ethereum really quickly because, of course, that's pretty much the big gauge of the altcoin market. Nothing's changed here, folks. We got a nice bounce off that 382 again, as I can't say as overly expected. It's not like I was looking for this, 100% once we got to this region. But when we got this really strong move to the upside, again, I look for these, when you're looking at the retracement areas and the big points of interest, where was I looking for? Well, it was definitely going to be in this 382. Of course, we had the gold pocket down here, and you have other key levels to be aware of. And when you start to get these pullbacks, everybody targets a deeper retracement, right? Because you had this huge move up. You look for a new buy zone. Everybody missed this move again, right? I point this out all the time. You get these strong moves up. You get a shallow retracement to the 382. You get your continuation. So far, that still remains what looks like is happening here, okay? Now, just a little bit more locally, again, for the week, we have a key level to be aware of back at 4,400. So don't be surprised if you see a quick little snap crash or flash drop, whatever you want to call it. It's not that much. It's like 5-6%. Of course, like in the long term, if you're investing, it's not going to really be shaking you up too much. It goes back to where we were probably a few days ago. But that is a key level that, last week's average, this week's target, just something to be aware of, right? But overall, I still anticipate we're going to push up into this $5,000 and $5,600 next, okay? Nothing's changed there. As you all know, I've been covering this altcoin 2, total 2 market for the altcoin market essentially since before it was cool, right? So right in this region at the absolute low. And we've gotten, breakout after breakout so far, okay? So again, I'm talking fast because I have a lot to cover. I'm not trying to incite any FOMO by any means. As always, we're remaining neutral. I'm, pointing out the key regions. We are preparing at the, the key areas, and then we are allowing the market to show its hand to us, right? So here, one of the biggest things I wanted to look to is seeing this big 1.71 trillion get flipped on the total 2, which again, Ethereum alone can do that, like pushing up 5-10%. That's going to break us out alone. The reason being is that we have, just upside here for the overall altcoin. So again, altcoin market probably likely to see a little upside here, okay? And just touching on, again, every major indice is at all-time highs as well, alongside Bitcoin. We've got the S&P trading at 6,700 right now. Overall, again, this is picturing a higher time frame. Pullbacks are part of it, but I still target up towards that 7,000 to 7,700 as my next major area for the S&P to kind of gravitate towards. You've got Nasdaq trading at all-time highs. Next major area that I'm looking to, again, this is bigger time frame, daily time frames here on these assets, up at $28,000. Gold, $4,000, just $4,000 gold, baby. Long time consolidated in this region, targeted 36.61 to see how we reacted. Absolutely no reaction there. Blows right through. The path to $4,000 was coming after that. $4,000 is here now, and likely we head up to this region. Again, folks, these are not areas where you want to be necessarily going overly new into the market, meaning that deploying new capital or anything like that, right? So reason being is that we're at a risk at any moment here of some pullbacks, even just locally. And that could be 10, 15, 20, 30%. So when I say that, it's because I'm putting out the risk management idea that if you're entering today, you have, yes, we have upside. I anticipate all the markets to continue up from here. That's the overall bias. However, in the interim, in the next days, weeks here, right, you could see those 20 and 30% corrections come in. All right, and that's the days you want to buy, not the days when we're in all-time high territory, even though it is going to be more than likely continuing higher, right? So it's all about preserving your entry as well as your capital, all right? So now for people that are already invested in these assets, this is where it's exciting. And, again, I'm trying to point out the key levels so that where we're likely to head towards. We're potentially going to hit our heads, cool off a little bit. But yeah, gold, all gas, no brakes, my friends. What a time to be alive. Silver as well. One of the others that we were looking at earlier this year, thinking, yep, at the beginning of this year, basically, we pushed up into this area. I was looking for a pullback to this region. So same idea as we were just looking with Ethereum, right? So you're talking about Ethereum pull, or when I showcased Ethereum, it was a move, a strong move up. A lot of people would have been probably looking for that gold pocket retracement, which is down here, that 618 to 65, which would have took us down, quite a bit. What did we get? Well, we had a strong move up, a pullback, and I mean like a smack back. Look at that. Right to a couple things, a couple high time frame averages, as well as that 382. And then we got the continuation. Next target from there was $44 to be looking for that next major area. Again, no reaction, blew right through, and we're off to the races here as well. So bringing you back to earth a bit again, not a time where you overly want to be exposing brand new capital today, as we're trading into literally the highest it's ever been, even though it can go higher. All right. So again, this is more so in these days here, this is when it's like, all right, if I'm already invested, I'm looking forward to where this market can go from here. If I'm looking for fresh entries and to buy, you always are looking for those red days. Okay. So I want to be very clear there. Again, talking fast, not trying to, incite overly excitement here, because as always, we need to remain pretty level-headed and neutral in these markets, because at any moment they can pull back on us. But here, again, we're just, blowing and going, my friends. And I wanted to touch on one other thing today. So this is the DXY. So this is the US dollar essentially in an index. And we had a 20-year bearish setup print. All right. So again, weekly time frame. This is back from 2001 to 2020. So this was a bearish setup that completed. All right. You got the confirmed breakdown here. You back tested a gold pocket, put in a lower high up here, and then we're heading down to our major targets of this harmonic setup, right? Which is the 382, and then overall our gold pocket and our B point. All right. So B point also aligns with a couple other things. I put a couple of other key regions in the middle here, but realistically the target area here is going all the way back down to about 85. Generally, folks, this has an inverse correlation with the risk on assets, right? So in theory, when we have the dollar heading down, risk assets, meaning stock market, indices, Bitcoin, everything else goes up, right, against the dollar essentially. So with this continuing to come down over time, my target timeline for this has remained 2026 to 2029. If you're familiar with any of my recent content here, as well as if you've been, again, rocking with me for many years, a lot of my backbone of my major high time frame analysis comes from the overall housing market, the business cycle, the economic cycle, however you want to look at it. It's about an 18 to 20 year cycle that is coming to an end here at 2026 to 2029, with an emphasis from me at the 2027 mark. So we still have more time to head up here. A lot of times you see these final moves, obviously, are usually the blow off top scenarios and when the most gains can be made. So you just got to be a little bit, you just got to keep your head on a swivel, because while the markets can continue higher here, and even though it seems like they shouldn't, this is that time window when things can get absolutely nutty. So it's also a time when for somebody like myself who's been invested for several years at this point, I'm actually looking at this time period to scale out of the market, not looking to hit the exact high, but looking to definitely sell into these rallies that we are on, that basically are underway even currently, as we're seeing everything at all-time highs right now. So take that for what it's worth. That's actually one of the biggest pieces I always like to bring up, is that, again, when things are trading into these new all-time highs, and yes, it can go higher, just realize that people who bought way lower than you, if you're looking to buy brand new today, they're actually looking to exit right now as you're buying it from them, right? So myself, I'm looking to exit this market in the next 2 years here pretty heavily. And while there's still opportunities to come in, pick up some positions, and look for a more, again, my time frame and my horizon here is if I'm getting into any new longer term positions right now, it's like 12 to 24 months. I'm not looking to buy today for 10 years down the road, because I think we'll have way better entries in the coming years here, okay? But if I am getting into anything today, it's because I'm going to be more aggressive with it in the shorter term, if that makes sense. And I hope it does. As always, folks, thank you so much for taking time to tune in here with me today. We really appreciate all the support from this incredible community. And if you found value in today's breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of our other videos coming next, especially as Bitcoin and the broader markets hit these critical levels. And remember, if you want to take things a step further, everything we talked about today, from my daily analysis and setups to Nick's in-depth Dash report, it's all available inside DataDashPro.com. Until next time, everybody, stay focused, stay disciplined. We'll see you on the next video, and until then, cheers.